Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, welcome to the Hertford Astronomy Group annual general meeting of 2023. I'm not going to introduce myself because if you don't know me by now, where have you been? The agendas and minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated, but before the first item, I beg your pardon, on the agenda is apologies for absence. I've been notified of two apologies. Dennis O'Shea sends his apologies and Ted Billinger sends his apologies too. So if we can note those. Has anybody else received any apologies? Okay, I take that as read then. Okay, so moving on to item number 2, to receive and approve the minutes of the 14th annual general meeting held on the 18th of May last year. As I said, the minutes have been circulated. I hope you've all had a chance to read through Leon's wonderful rendition. And I'll ask, are there any questions, any matters arising from the minutes that anyone would like to raise? Speak now. I take that silence as acceptance. And if should ask you, do all agree it's a true record of the meeting of last year?
Do you want us to raise hands or?
I think we will just take it, if nobody objects, we will take it as silent assent, which is a good way of going on, isn't it? Okay, that moves on to item number 4, Chairman's report for the year. Just to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and will be posted onto YouTube in a day or two's time. You might find it useful to put it onto speaker view on your view options so you can more easily see who is actually speaking. At the bottom of the screen, there's the usual chat facility. If you want to send any questions, you can do it by chat, but as we are a smallish group compared to our regular meetings, if you want to speak yourself, then I don't see any problem about that. All I'd ask is, could you just wait till the person who's either given the report or talking on screen, wait until they say, have you got any questions? Then chip in there with anything you want to add. Okay, so my report. First of all, at the beginning of the year, we were very pleased to welcome Dennis O'Shea back to the committee. Dennis does a lot of work with HAGAS, the Astronomy astrophotography section, and we've got a report from him later on. I'm going to read from this because I've tried to cover everything that I'd got. We've continued the excellent start we made last year, producing our meetings simultaneously broadcasting to Zoom while the talk was being given in the lecture room at the university. Attendances, of which there'll be more detail later on, have been steady, and approximately 50% split in numbers between physical and virtual attendees. Technical team have worked tirelessly to bring about improvement after improvement in the quality and the dynamics of the meetings. So special thanks to them. We continue to publish the recordings of the meetings to YouTube with the permission of the speakers, thus enabling people who might not have been able to come to the live event to view the meetings. We've had a full year of talks covering a wide range of subjects, which we are sure you've enjoyed. The Society's main activities have been our monthly meetings, held on the second Wednesday of each month from September to June. This would be a good point to flag up that there will be one exception to this pattern in September, when the meeting will be held on September the 6th, instead of the expected September the 13th, due to operational reasons. We've moved our meetings to the slightly smaller lecture theatre, A161 on the university plans, as it's felt more appropriate to the size of the audience that we've been attracting. We continue to maintain our strong links with the University of Hertfordshire and have been in regular contact with Dr. Ben Birmingham and Nuala O'Flynn at Bayfordbury. We are pleased to have been invited once again to attend the open evenings at the observatory, which have been presented during the period of Greenwich Mean Time. Thanks are due to the HAG committee and members who attend the open evenings representing the club. We are pleased that the Institute of Physics talks, arranged by Diane Cran and Alan Davis, have resumed and that our members are welcomed to attend. We've been able to re-establish some outreach events, in particular the stargazing event coordinated by Nicola Warburton and held at Bengio Primary School in March. We also managed some promotion through Space Oddities on the YouTube channel, who were featuring astronomy clubs. I'd like to say thank you to Leon, who took on being secretary to our group. He prepares the agendas and minutes for our committee members and distributes these as necessary. Leon also deals with other correspondence that's not covered elsewhere, and we're indebted to him for keeping us on the right track throughout the year. Whilst on the subject of administration, we can also say a special thanks to ex-committee member Terry Creasy, as we must thank him for he continues to produce his monthly Terry's Sky Notes, published on the website each month. As I said last year, he highlights things to look out for in the month, and sometimes they are very challenging things. I'd also like to say thank you to the Welwyn Hatfield Times, who we managed to get a monthly page where we can present photographs taken by Hagas group members, and of course we can give the club a little bit of a promotion by mentioning the web address and who we are. Other committee members, Richard Shepherd and Danny Emmett, must be thanked for their contribution to the club, frequently going to meetings and sometimes getting very cold outside. And of course, many thanks to Martin Weston, who was our vice chairman, famous for his pre-show talks, showing the Hagas images of the month, so to speak, and always willing to come along to our events. We continue to thrive in changing times, and it's pleasing to see how the club has developed over the years. And finally, we thank the members, you the members, without whose support the club would not exist. Your attendance is very much appreciated, and the fact that our numbers are so strong can hopefully be interpreted as that we are still doing something right. So that concludes my official report. So before we move on to reports from other committee members, are there any questions anyone would like to ask? Feel free to unmute yourself and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, got away with that lightly, didn't I? We've got reports from the various subcommittees that we've got on our group, the equipment, programme, Hagas and membership. Some of those, the secretaries responsible for those, some of them have sent me reports to read out. So the first one on that list there is the equipment officer, who's Steve. So many thanks to Steve, who's had a sudden burst of activity, I believe. But he's asked me to read this out to you. As many of you are aware, we are fortunate at HAG to have a large range of good telescope and astro camera equipment, which is available to borrow at no cost. Assuming membership subscription is up to date, that is. Equipment hire can be a great way of determining if purchasing a telescope or starting astrophotography is suitable for you. We will advise and help on the operation of any of this kit. Currently, the club PST Solar is out on loan. This is the first time in quite a long while anyone has taken advantage of our equipment loan service, a valuable membership benefit. We make no charge for borrowing any of the equipment, although we ask you to take great care of it and make sure that the insurance is covered and sign a form to say that you will take full responsibility and return it safely. It is likely that we will determine whether the equipment you wish to borrow is suitable for your requirements. A list of the equipment is available on the website. If you wish to borrow any HAG equipment, please let the equipment officer, Stephen Helixer, or myself know, and we will organise it for you. So, if you've got any questions you would like to ask about the equipment, now is your opportunity. As I said, feel free to unmute yourself and chip in. Okay, well, let's move on now then. I'm going to pass you over to Jerry, who will give you a talk about the programme through the year. Just unspotlight myself if I can do that. Yep. Okay, over to you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. I'm not going to really refer to the programme from last year as you have covered that. But I am going to share my screen to show you let's see, hopefully. Right, hopefully you can see a test card. So, Alan, can you see the test card by itself, or can you also see a Hertford Astronomy group?
Yes, we can see the test card and the next slide of...
I just need to swap those over, and now it be just the test card alone.
Yes, just the test card.
Right, okay then. Just in case there should be anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the program secretary, and let's get my glasses. So I arrange our meetings and book speakers. Now, I also arrange other events such as public sessions for eclipses and planetary transits, our publicity displays, and joining with village fetes and various other items. I carry out a similar role for the Federation of Astronomical Societies, which is the national body that supports the societies around the UK. Here my title is Meetings Organiser. My main activity with them is organising their whole day conventions, which I book at different venues each year. The idea being that members of local societies won't have to travel far to attend. So the first one I arranged was in 2021 at the National Space Centre in Leicester. Last year, the theme was Women in Astronomy. And for our keynote speaker, I was delighted to engage Jocelyn Bell Burnell, who discovered pulsars as a student in 1967. And as she is based in Oxford, that's where we held the event. The day had 4 speakers and included a buffet lunch, followed by lunchtime visits with free entry to local museums. As we were given the venue at no cost through a generous gift from the head of physics at Oxford, we were able to offer tickets, which included the lunch, for just £10. The event allowed the opportunity to hear speakers in person and put questions to them and meet and engage with other astronomy enthusiasts. So recently I thought about doing something similar for HAG. This would be held locally and take place in the autumn. There would be 4 or 5 speakers and include a buffet lunch, and hopefully we'd also have some observing in the evening. The date I've chosen is Sunday, 22nd of October, which is the moon's first quarter, an ideal time for observing in the evening. The reason I chose the Sunday is that I have a 4-hour dialysis session on Saturdays, and moving the time of that session would not help, as our event would run for the entire day. Possible venue is, of course, the Lindop building at the university, where we hold our monthly meetings. There is plenty of room, and although we would probably not have to pay for the venue, we would need to pay for staff, because this would have to be booked through the university, and lunch through them would probably be expensive and may actually double the ticket price. Also, we would probably not be able to do observing in the evening because of local lighting on site. So at the last Bayfordbury evening, I asked about using Bayfordbury. The main talks would take place in the nearby science block, and in the evening we could either simply look at the scopes in the domes or use them for observing if the sky is clear. Unfortunately, the upstairs lecture room is leased out, so we'd have to use the area downstairs near the main entrance. But this only has a capacity of just 60. Now, this may be enough, but if the event turns out to be popular, we may have to turn inquirers away. I'm planning to aim this at the society members, astronomy students at the university, and also members of the local community. The kitchen there is small, but may be big enough to prepare a lunch. The main disadvantage is the expected cost of staff. We probably need to pay for 2 senior staff through the day and 3 students as assistants in the evening, which could come to around £400. Now, I've produced a draft budget for the event based on those I've done for the FAS conventions. It includes venue costs, speaker fees and expenses, catering, printing, and other expenses. On the income side, if we sell tickets for 60 people, including some family tickets and child and student tickets, that could give an income of £535. If we can have sponsorship of £100, then the total would result in a loss of £100, which we've decided would be something that we could afford to cover. But obviously a second sponsorship payment would mean we'd draw level. Another possibility, which would allow a larger audience, is to reuse Bramfield Village Hall, the venue for My Telescope Doesn't Work. So this is northeast of Welwyn Garden City and makes a triangle with Chewin and Welwyn North Station. The hall has a large field to the south, as you can see, an ideal location. There's a large patio at the west side with good views, and on the field you can see to the south and east. So this is the west wall of the building, and the patio is there. There is this tree that you can see to the left of this image, which is to the northwest, but that isn't really a problem. And the trees to the southeast, you can see on the left side of this image, are some way off, so they don't really intrude high into the viewing area. And as you can see, the rest of the sky is unobstructed. So there are lights covering the patio, which can be switched off once we're set up. And there are full height curtains on the inside, which will block the light from the hall. This shows some scopes on the patio. And here's a view indoors. This was the setup for My Telescope Doesn't Work. For the convention, we may have the screen against the far curtain. The hall could actually accommodate 100 people. And if we do have that many, then that would mean 40 more than at Bayfordbury, which means up to an extra £350 of income. And my figures are based on a total of just 75 attendees. The other advantage of the venue is the cost. Gerald, the hall manager, who was very helpful for My Telescope Doesn't Work, told me how much it would cost for the whole day and the evening. She said the full rate for the day is £165, but she would only charge us the villagers' rate, which is just £125. But she would not make a booking for the evening. Now, I assume that meant we wouldn't be able to use the hall in the evening, but we could simply take everyone outside and operate from there. She clarified that instead of making a booking for the day and a separate one for the evening as officially required, she wouldn't bother with an evening booking. So we could still use the hall, but at no additional cost. So we'd have the entire venue for the whole day and evening for just £125. The only drawback is the parking area. The hall has only about 22 spaces just along the road. But opposite the hall is the Grandison pub with a car park that is larger. Now, obviously, I assumed we couldn't use the entire pub car park, but I spoke to them to ask if they could provide a buffet lunch rather than us having to produce one. And obviously they would charge for that, and I was hoping to negotiate a rate of £350, which works out at just under £5 per person for 75 people. And I hoped they would allow us to use the left-hand side and back of the car park, being as this would be a Sunday, allowing for another 13 places. However, the Grandison is actually closing down probably in June. At the moment, the staff don't know if it will be shut down completely or sold off to a new owner. I've been advised to contact them again in June to see what the situation is. So it's possible if there's a new owner that they will be able to provide a lunch. So there's room for about a further 9 cars along the road and 11 more around the corner in winding shot, which would give a total of 55 spaces, with more further north along winding shot and also south on Main Road. Plus there's a group of 13 places just 2 minutes walk away, although probably some may be already taken by local people. If the pub isn't going to be open, we can probably use the whole of the car park, giving an extra 10 places. So the real issue is what we then do about arranging a lunch. What I have done at one of the FAS conventions is to buy loaves of bread plus fillings along with biscuits, crisps, fruit and drinks, and some of the committee then made the sandwiches during the morning session. So I had assumed that members of our committee might do that. However, the hall manager says that there is someone who could work on this for us. So here's a possible layout for the building with 89 seats and room for exhibitions and displays. I won't go through the detail of this, but here's a possible program for the day with 5 speakers followed by a panel. And then after the main program, due to end at 5:30, we would draw the raffle, and then there would be a break for something to eat before an observing session. We could go through to perhaps 9:30 or 10 o'clock, subject to the weather. So here's an alternative. The sun sets at 10 to 6, and an hour later it'll be 10 degrees below the horizon. Moon will be at first quarter, though quite low. Saturn will be slightly higher, though it'll rise as it approaches south. And Jupiter will be over in the east-northeast, very low, but it will rise over the next 3 hours, and by 9 o'clock it'll have reached 24 degrees. I won't go through the budget in detail, but this is actually an option of getting sandwich platters from Sainsbury's. And the income, ticket sales, and other income. So here are the figures for Bayfordbury and the Bramfield Hall. Expected expenses and income and the balances. So an event using the hall gives a possible positive balance of almost £160 with 75 attendees. Remember, the university numbers included sponsorship of £100. And as I said, we could afford to cover this relatively small loss, though the hall figures are without any income from sponsors, exhibitors, or advertisers. So anything we do receive will add to our profit. So, first of all, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask about this?
Jerry,
Yes.
do you have a break-even number? 75 seems an awful lot to all be in person, remembering that we do so much on Zoom.
Yeah, this will not be on Zoom. We will not live stream it. I hope we will record it. But the idea is, if you want to take part, and see the speakers, you need to be there in person. So if we're going to record it, then the speakers' talks will be available in due course. As for numbers, 20, I said 75. So we're looking at only about 50 people at Brownfield Hall will give us a break even. So it's much lower than for Bayford Brick.
Jerry, I have a question. How much has been budgeted for food?
It's about £350.
Okay.
I can't remember whether it is that, perhaps a bit more.
Jerry, did you include refreshments as in tea, coffee, etc.?
Yes, that's also included.
I mean, to get lunch and drinks and everything for £5 per person is going to be pushing it, I think.
It depends on the sauce.
Well, tomato ketchup throughout then.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we were able to do it within this amount at the University of Oxford.
Okay.
Jerry?
Yes.
Don't forget that there's been a little thing called inflation in the meantime, plus the price. You don't know what the price of anything is going to be, and you've also got to get somebody to actually do the food.
Yeah. So I have a list of what we bought at Oxford last November, and I've gone through those items and got prices from Tesco and Sainsbury's to see how close they are now. So I have updated them. And I appreciate that this is still a few months from now. And so it is still a current estimate. So that there is a percentage in the budget to allow for further costs.
I mean, a basic meal deal is is about £4, which is a sandwich, a fruit squash, and I think a packet of crisps. So it's a bit basic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my thought is that the difference between £10 per person and £15 per person is probably not going to make that much difference to people, and it'll be nicer to sort of produce something which is kind of better than a sweet corn sandwich and a orange juice.
I would agree with that. I think it's cutting corners too much isn't a great thing.
No, the idea was not to cut corners. So that amount would certainly enable us to charge at £10 per person and provide refreshments and lunch for, say, around £5, and if that's for 75 people, then you're looking at £350 for that lunch. However, we did suggest at our last discussion on this that we actually charge £10 for tickets to HAG members and £5 for child tickets and for students, but we should charge £15 for members of the public, and that would allow a bit extra income.
I mean, we all have different reference points. A typical Saturday night for me is going to the Gordon Craig, right, watching a tribute sort of act like Tina Turner, and it's like 30 quid.
Yes.
So it'll be a bargain at half the price.
Yeah. The thing is, we really want to attract people.
Yes, yeah.
But
a tenner isn't bad, yeah.
That we are not doing this to make money.
Yes.
I think it's similar to say that we're not doing it to make a loss either, not intentionally.
Yeah. I mean, a fiver is cheap. I think that's £10 is a very reasonable number, but I suppose if you're going above 15, it's difficult because you don't know the budgets of different people. But a McDonald's is like 4 or 5 quid, so and there's a lot of people that live on that.
Yeah, higher than that.
Okay, can I ask, can we move on from this? Because it's a long night and, we've spent a long time talking about this. Could we move on to the rest of the programme, please, Jerry?
Right, I'm going to go through the plans for next year's programme then. Oh, I will also produce a program with the event. This is one I did for last year's FAS convention, and there'd be tickets, as you can see there. I also did wonder about us having some small.
Yes, but could we move on, please, Jerry? We're spending a long time on this, and that's one day, and we've got a lot of other days in the year that we need to talk about. So can we get to the next year's bit?
Right. Okay. Here we are. So coming up over the summer, we have been invited to take part once again in the Wheat Hampstead Village Day. So can you all have a think about that? And if you think you can take part in that, let us know. There is also the Royal Astronomical Society's annual picnic on the 13th of August down at Greenwich. Contact me for details about that. And then, as Alan has said, our program starts on the first Wednesday in September rather than the 2nd. That'll be September the 6th, where, as usual, our President Roger O'Brien is expected to talk about the SpaceX Starship program. October will be Richard Goodridge, the author, talking about the how the return of Halley's Comet almost destroyed the Earth. Sounds interesting. Then there's the convention on Sunday, the 22nd, and that'll be mentioned on the website. Over on the right-hand side there. November the 8th, we expect to have astronomy students from the University of Hertfordshire or Marina Galland talking about Aurora. I'm waiting to get confirmation of the students, but I spoke to the university today, and it does look likely that we will get a group. December 13th, we're looking to take on Rodney Buckland from the Open University, talking about remote and robotic telescopes. In January, David Arditi, who's the president of the British Astronomical Association, will be talking about astronomers' tools, choosing the right telescope. Then in February, Alan Davies from the university, hopefully we'll talk about the sun. That one is to be confirmed. In March, as part of British Science Week, if Maria Galland hasn't come to us before Christmas, then hopefully she will cover Aurora in March. As an alternative, in March we may have Reaction Engine, the developers of Skylon. And in the next month, in April, to mark Yuri's Night, on the 12th of April, I'll be covering Island Zero. Then in May, delighted to have confirmed Ian Morrison from Jodrell Bank on our Island Universe, the Milky Way galaxy and its place in time and space. Then 3 days later, on Saturday, May the 11th, the FAS convention is having a 50th anniversary convention. And I'll give more details about that in due course. And we finish the program with our June meeting. As a highlight, we'll have Andrew Coates from MSSL and also Vice President of the Society for Popular Astronomy on planetary investigation. He, amongst many things, he is the principal investigator on the Rosalind Franklin rover. That's the ExoMars rover, which has now been redesignated to fly to Mars after all. So that's it from me. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay, well, I think that silence means we don't seem to have any more questions. Last chance. Okay. Right. Well, if I say thank you very much indeed, Jerry, for all your hard work this year and all the plans that you've got in place there for next year, it's really great that we've got so many interesting talks heading our way. I'm sure we'll all agree with that. There being no more questions to Jerry, the next report I've got is from Dennis. He sent me the Haggas report to share with you. And he says Haggas has continued to unite like-minded astrophotographers and those with an interest in HAG. The WhatsApp group set up by Steve Helixer has flourished with various images shared and discussions on a number of issues, including purchasing kit and processing programs taking place. Our talks have been at Stanborough's in Hoddesdon with invited speakers of the calibre of Nick Shermanick, Peter Goodhue, David Davis and Bob Burkett via a Zoom link from New Mexico in the USA. One very notable speaker is our own Michael Jasinski, who joined the group a year or so ago and has produced some outstanding pictures. Michael also gave a talk in April 2023 to the group on his methods of imaging and processing. It's been noted by HAG members, speakers and visitors on the outstanding quality of astrophotography images shown at the HAG monthly meetings, notably those of Stephen Helixer, Martin Weston and Kevin Noble. Haggas has surpassed the expectation of talking shop with genuine quality, including emerging individuals who are improving from within the group. We'll have to look at changing our meeting nights from a Wednesday, as the venue now have bookings, which reduce the availability for us. This will start from the autumn programme dates. The next Haggas meeting at Stanborough's will be on May the 24th with Peter Goodhue and June the 28th with David Davis. My thanks go to the whole group who combine in support and direction to each other with a few laughs along the way in the pursuit of improvements to their individual work. Sincerely, Dennis O'Shea. Do we have any questions for Dennis? Because we've got other members of the group here who may be able to answer them. So any questions about Haggas? Oh, well, I would like to say, we are extremely privileged to have a group of dedicated astrophotographers within our group, and I think it's fantastic, those images that they produce. So keep up the good work and fighting against aircraft crossing pictures and satellites, as Steve's latest production showed us. And how at the end of it, you got such a fantastic picture of all those galaxies. Absolutely tremendous. So well done, Steve. Okay, moving on. We've got the membership report for the year, and Tony looks after all our membership issues, and he sent along a screen or two to share with you. So let me see if I can find that one. Wrong one. We'll get there. Okay. So you can read that along with me. Our membership's quite a healthy position, considering the year we've had, with 101 fully paid up members, which is up from 87 previous year. 10 committee members fully paid up, and that's up from 9. And that was Dennis joining us. 22 junior members able to attend meetings on a free of charge basis, up from 18. 7 life members, previous chairpersons, or someone who has shown merits beyond expected, able to attend meetings on a free of charge basis. 73 guest registrations. They're people who have attended at least one meeting as a guest this year and paid meeting fees of £2, down from 116, and total registered membership of 294, up from 239. The next is next screen here is sorry, I've just covered my screen over, made it worse. Okay, back here. There we got breakdowns of people who are attending. I think, rather than go into this and give you a test about it at the end, see if you can remember all the numbers, I think the important thing is to say thank you particularly to Tony, who I know keeps a very good track of who's been, who they are, where they come from, and has worked tirelessly on with Ticket Source and myself to get things as right as we can. A tremendous amount of effort. We're frequently backwards and forwarding and testing bits and pieces out. It's absolutely brilliant. We got somebody who's so on top of the game, so to speak. So thank you very much indeed, Tony, for the work you put in there. Do we have any questions that anyone would like to give to Tony? We've got bigger details of bigger breakdowns if you want, but I think I'll stop at that one for the moment. Does anyone have any questions? Tony is online, he's with us this evening, so you can ask if you wish to. Okay, well, that seems another quiet message from you, so I hope that can be interpreted as, sincere thanks from all of us for keeping that going. One thing to sort of mention is that we are looking at other ways that people might be able to make their payments for the next year's subs. As the bank is now charging for checks to be cashed, and as you know, banks are disappearing off the high streets left, right and centre. We're looking at ways that we might even be able to use Ticket Source for anyone who wants to pay by credit card, if they would prefer that in preference to doing it by a bank transfer. So again, it's all moving forwards as best as we can. So if there are no questions about the membership, I'm now going to pass you over to Anne, who's our treasurer, and Anne can tell us all about the accounts. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you very much, Alan. I don't know if you want to share the actual spreadsheet. It was posted out as part of the invitation to tonight's events, so you will have had access to it, or certainly will be able to access it. If Alan doesn't want to share it or doesn't, I don't know how to share it on mine, unfortunately, so I can't.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay, so I'm just going to read my report to you all for the account period 1st of April 2022 to 31st of March 2023. First of all, our income, and under membership subscriptions. At the AGM in May 2022, the membership agreed to keep the annual membership fee at £10 pro rata, as we had not spent what we had earned over the year, had made a profit of over £400 and had a very healthy balance of nearly £4,500. Over this year, we maintained our membership at around 100 people, generating an income of £1,082, which is on par with last year. 78 people joined at or before the first meeting of the new programme year, which was, as we know, September, with the rest joining in small numbers each month. 2 members accidentally overpaid and so were refunded in February 2023. And just a note on that, may I remind all members that the renewal date is in July, August, September for the new HAG year, regardless of when in the year that member originally joined us. It's not a rolling membership year, but a static renewal period. Moving on to visitors, we charge £2 for visitors plus a 17 pence fee. And in the report, I mentioned it was just for Zoom users, but actually it's for everyone, that extra 17 pence, if they're a visitor. We continue to use Ticket Source, which is an online platform, in exchange for a fee. Visitor numbers are irregular, but the average mean being 20 attendees and the median being 14 each meeting. Moving on to banking. Last year, our bankers, which are HSBC, introduced an account fee of £5 per month, plus an extra fee for handling cheques, and we therefore paid £63.48 of charges over the year. Looking at Zoom, so sorry, I've moved on to expenditure here, as you may have gathered. Looking at Zoom, Alan continued to subscribe to Zoom, but instead of the monthly fee, which we did through the last couple of years, he paid an annual subscription of £100.72, saving us over £70 per year by doing so. And then the annual domain cost remained at £13.19. We continue to meet in person as well as on Zoom, and are fortunate that the University of Hertfordshire venue is given to us free, so there are no ongoing costs for this. And that used to be obviously our significant monthly expenditure each month at the previous venues that we've used as a club. Looking at our speakers, as always, we've enjoyed a varied programme of speakers who have generally provided their talks for free, which always amazes me. And we paid only 3 this year in total. The Federation of Astronomical Societies, we maintained our membership of FAS once more at £30, as they offer a useful publicity service as well as general useful information, and enables us to obtain public liability insurance at greatly reduced rates. The insurance cost went up a modest £4 this year, but we took the insurance out with the FAS during the year for £32. The auditor was Roger Clark this year. He audited the accounts for, I think he must have done it for about 5 years on the trot now, at least. My very grateful thanks to him and to his wife for doing so. Looking at equipment, which we did spend quite a bit on this year, and this is because as we're broadcasting the meetings on Zoom, and that's a key part of what we offer as a club now, we purchased some additional equipment to ensure we're able to offer the best quality experience that we can. And this included an HDMI switcher, a video audio mixer, and other web software. And I can't answer any questions about any of that, but if you do have any of those questions about what on earth those are, then there will be people on the call that can answer that. We also purchased a gazebo for our outdoor publicity events this year, and a computer to help the management of the membership. Closing balance. We began the year with a balance of £4,413.21 and end this period of accounts with a balance of £4,398.67, which is a decrease of just under £15 on the year. Subscriptions for 2023-2024, as we have maintained our balance, give or take 15 quid, your committee would like to recommend that we maintain the reduced annual membership fee of £10 pro rata for adults 18 years of age and older. And we recommend that we retain the visitor fee of £2 per meeting plus the 17 pence that I mentioned earlier. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Anne? Well, I'm sure. Go ahead. Anyone?
Not really so much a question, but a statement. As Anne mentioned, purchasing a computer regarding membership. Tony, I think, has done a fantastic job of putting together a system for not only maintaining the membership, but also to swipe the membership cards on entry to the meetings. And this has made entry to the meetings incredibly easy to manage, and he should be definitely congratulated for his work in that.
Yes, thank you for that, Jerry. We did mention that earlier, and I think that you're absolutely right there. Terrific work there. Any questions for Anne? Okay, Anne, I'd like to say very many thanks to you for keeping a track on those books. It's not a job that many people would want, and we're very grateful for the years that you've done it. You're really good at it. And also, I'd like to say a very special thank you to Roger and his wife who audit the books. Perhaps we could send them a bunch of flowers or something as a little thank you. Does anyone object to that? Good.
Roger objects.
Didn't say how big a bunch, but it would be nice to do that, wouldn't it? Because yeah, it's good. It's the right thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So if there are no more questions regarding the treasurers or any of the other reports you've had this evening, I'll move on to the next item on the agenda. So last chance for questions about what we've been up to. Okay. That then takes us to item 6 on the agenda, the appointment of officers and members of the Management Committee for 2023-24. At our last committee meeting, every member of the committee said that they were quite happy to continue doing the jobs they are doing now. So I haven't had any other requests to join the committee. So before I move on, is there anybody who's sitting out there and was wanting their chance to join the committee? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Or at least until next year.
Yeah. Okay then, right. What I'm going to suggest is, as we've done on previous occasions when we've had this situation, is to vote everybody en bloc back into those positions. So what we would need is somebody, first of all, to nominate that idea, somebody from the floor and somebody else to second it. So can we have somebody from the non-committee members to say, yes, that's a good idea?
Yes, that's a good idea, Alan. It's Paul.
Thank you, Paul. And would somebody like to second Paul's suggestion?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Right, thank you very much indeed. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? In that case, then we move on to, if you've got the agenda like I have, there wasn't an item 7 on there, but it would be item 7, the appointment of the honorary auditor for 2023-24. I don't know, Anne, did you have a word with Roger and ask, was he willing to do it again? Do you know?
No, but I think he's on the call if he wants to, or if anybody else would like to volunteer.
Okay. Nominations for the post of honorary auditor, please. Did somebody say Roger Clark?
Nominate Roger.
Okay, yeah. Roger's been nominated and seconded. Someone speak.
Does Roger want to, though?
Oh, I'm sure he would if we butter him, if we speak to him nicely.
Is there anyone available to do it?
Ah, there you are, Roger. I didn't see your name on the list. You must be somewhere down there. Roger, are you happy to be honorary auditor for next year?
If there's someone else could do it at the moment, because it's getting a little bit awkward at the moment.
Oh, is it? Oh, right, right. Is there anyone who would like to take on the role of auditor?
It's an easy job.
I'm sure you'd be quite happy to share your expertise with anyone, wouldn't you, Roger?
I don't mind volunteering to be auditor. No, I'm no longer on the committee. If that helps, that's
Okay then.
Actually, better if you're not on the. You're not supposed to be on the committee. So yeah.
I thought we'd got rid of you last year, but it comes back again. Roger.
Thank you, Simon.
I'll ask you, Roger. Roger, you wouldn't be offended if Simon took the role on, would you?
No, not at all.
Okay. Can I have a proposer for Simon to take on the role of auditor, please? A proposer?
I propose it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, that's job sorted. So thank you very much, Roger and Babs, for all the work you've done. And, you know, we do appreciate it very much indeed. Okay, that moves us on to the last item on the agenda, any other business. This is your opportunity. The floor is totally yours. Everyone goes so shy, don't they?
What flowers does Roger want?
Yeah, Roger, what sort of flowers?
No, we don't need anything. There's no problem at all.
I'm sure we can. We'll negotiate that outside the meeting.
No.
Okay. With that being said, I will formally bring this meeting to an end and say thank you to everybody. Particularly the committee, because it is a team effort. It's incredibly useful and helpful to be working with a group of people who all pull their weight in all sorts of directions to make the monthly meetings and the other events we attend so well, make them so well presented and run so smoothly. It's a great bunch to work with, I'll say that, and I do thank them very much indeed. So,
Alan,
indeed,
I'd like to say that in fact we all work together, but it needs somebody to manage it. It's like herding cats at times, and also to be the glue that holds us together. In fact, I think it's the glue that holds the entire group together. So thank you very much indeed.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Leon. And thank you. I do enjoy it at times. And we can't find anybody else yet to do it. So but I do thank you for that, Leon. It's much appreciated. So that formally is the end of the meeting of the AGM for 2023.